Hello and welcome. I am Charisse. I am your host, and this is Tammy, one of my favorite humans. And she is a former patient care leader turned international bestselling author, a body analysis expert, a chief energy officer, and an authentic energetic leadership mentor. Tammy empowers high-achieving entrepreneurs and leaders to remove invisible blocks, to embrace their authentic, energetic leadership so they can move from hustle to flow without sacrificing the results or their authentic self. With over 20 years in the psycho-spiritual industry, Tammy merges methodologies like proven body analysis system, NLP, human design, and metaphysical laws to serve her clients. Tammy's been featured on Positive Impact TV, Brains Magazine, and major channels like Fox, CBS, NBC, and AP News. Welcome, Tammy. Hi.
Hi, Cerise. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Okay, and I'm going to disappear now, and I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, and so you're going to show my slides? Oh, there we go. Perfect. I love it when you have someone doing slides for you. And so thank you all for being here, whether you're here live or you're here watching the replay. And I just invite you, if you're here, to just take a breath, to let yourself arrive here, because your time is precious. And if you are going to invest your time into something, I really invite you to just bring yourself here. Letting go of what was before and coming to the present. And so welcome here. I'm going to be talking about how your body, right, can really lead you to more happiness, love, and abundance. And so, all right, there we go. And so let me ask you, right? And so do you know someone, or perhaps yourself, that feel somewhat emotionally stressed, overwhelmed, exhausted, trying to push yourself, right, to get everything on your list done? And on top of this to-do list, you got to prioritize making money, prioritizing, kids, family, and your own self-care. And you just feel drained and depleted by the end of the day. And so, check in with that. Can you relate to that, right? As entrepreneurs, all we really want is to show up and help others while fully expressing our gifts, right? And to live up to our full potential. We want to just have that financial freedom to really spend time with the people we love and have the health to do it, right? And really to create that impact and abundance with more fulfillment, ease, and flow. Does that sound like anyone here? Except many of us, right? We feel like we got to keep it all together, looking good on the outside, and we end up getting used to wearing this mask, pretending everything is good on the outside, but on the inside, you feel like you're just going through, the motions of life. And you find yourself saying, there must be a better way. Why is this so hard, right? Or you find yourself, I'll be happy, saying within yourself somewhere, I'll be happy when you achieve this or hit this milestone or when I complete this. You know what I mean? And so who can relate to that, right? And so there's this sense that something is missing or something feels off. And you might not be able to put a finger on it. However, what you do know is that you're pushing and working hard, but not really getting the results that you want, or you're doing the mindset strategy type work and things don't feel like they're flowing per se. And you're searching, right, to find the solution outside of yourself. And this was me. I started off being a nurse for over 20 years. And one day I had this experience where essentially I was experiencing heart palpitations, and I was like having pain radiating up my jaw and down my arm. And I was struggling to breathe. I remember feeling this metallic taste in my mouth of fear. I was like, I didn't know what was happening in that moment. And I ended up being wheeled off to emergency in front of all my coworkers at work. And essentially, I was having a panic attack. And leading up to that event, right, I knew, I intellectually knew that I needed to take time off. I needed to put myself first, right? I understood that, but I couldn't get myself to actually let go, right? And so how many of you can relate where you know what you should or need to do. However, giving yourself to actually permission to actually do it is a whole different story, right? And oftentimes, if we're doing this in like one area of our life, we're often doing it in other areas of our life, right? And someone might ask, like, why, Tammy? Would you work yourself to the point of breakdown instead of prioritizing, what I knew already? You know what I mean? And so this brings me to this place of early imprints, right? You see, when I was young, my mom left me at 20 days old to emotionally and physically abusive father. I was bullied a lot at high school, and honestly, I didn't really feel I was worth anything. And I held this pain inside my body, right? And I think we can all relate. We all have the story that, creates who we are today. And from working with my clients, I have found that it does not have to be this big traumatic event. It could be something as simple as you're a mother adjusting the way your hair sits on your face consistently over time that you didn't really like it, but it didn't make you feel good. And when you were growing up, maybe you needed to be that one, right? To take care of all your siblings, put all the needs of your family before yourself because you were the eldest or, most responsible one. And, honestly, I did well for myself, right? Over the years, I had, money, house, car, investments. I married a loving man. I had the white picket fence, and I got really good at, people pleasing, being that high achiever, accomplishing one thing after another, being that mindset queen or personal development junkie. I also got really good at numbing my own needs and smiling when I didn't feel authentic, right? I was wearing that mask, right? That I was more good on the outside than I really actually was feeling within me. And I did so well that I forgot I was even wearing this mask of like high achieving, people pleasing, being in control, being competent, became that identity for myself. And so that's why, even though I intellectually knew I needed to take time off, subconsciously, I couldn't prioritize my own needs because if I didn't, people please or look put together, right? Like, who would I be? And, that really played havoc on myself for a long time. And honestly, it wasn't until my own daughter turned 6 months old, right? And she was lying there on one of those baby Einstein mats. And for the very first time, she hit one of those hanging toys. And the community nurse that was sitting next to me in my living room at that time said, "Did you see that?" And at that moment, I saw it, right? But I literally said, like, "Yeah, kids do that." And in that moment, I did see, what my daughter had done, right? But I was so numbed out and I had a hard time feeling any joy, even for my, cute, beautiful daughter. And all I could think about was all the burdens and things I had to do for her. And that's really sad when I speak about that story, even to this day. And honestly, if it wasn't for this community nurse that was sitting next to me in my living room, on my living room couch, right, and she pointed this out to me, I wouldn't have actually known that I was that disconnected to my own baby and really honestly to my life. Like I learned later I was subconsciously blocking away any form of happiness and joy, and even pushing away my husband's love for me, and I would create arguments and all these things. And so as a result of no longer accepting this as part of my life, right? I started investing a lot into myself and started started on my journey, so to speak. And I really tried to master the mind. I took all these courses, became an NLP practitioner, got certified to educate. I led masterminds. And, even at that time in my 30s, when I became a millionaire, I did not feel happy or experience any inner freedom. I was quite miserable, but I just was doing my best. Right. And I moved into mastering energy, and essentially I did these different forms of healings, and I would exchange healings every week, about 2 to 3 times a week. And although it really did help, once I realized once I stopped doing it, the anxiety and depression, everything would still actually be there. So I felt that it wasn't really the end all be all. And because I value truth and freedom, I really kept on searching. And I ended up pulling into my life this 5-year mentorship in emotional and soul healing. Um, and we often hear about this body, mind, heart, soul connection. And when I came across something called a psychosomatic therapy, this really showed me a really tangible way um, through my own face and my body. And this is when all the like pieces of the puzzle started to fall together for me, because my own body, right, was showing me and speaking to me, and it I was shown how the shape of my chest told me how much I was actually pushing away love. My feet showed me I wasn't in alignment, and my stomach told me how much protection I actually needed. Essentially, I was yearning for all this love and connection, but I was pushing it away. And that really hit me to see it in such a tangible way. And what I've learned, is that until I was able to address, the body, the mind, the heart, soul together, like I wasn't really evolving, like things were changing in my external reality, but I wasn't actually, my vibration wasn't raising. And it wasn't until I was able to raise this innate level of worthiness and expand my capacity to receive. It didn't matter how much energy work I did, how much money I made, how much things I pushed myself to do and achieve. I would self sabotage myself to the same place. And my own body like brought me back to the truth. And what is in the way is always being shown through our body ailments, symptoms. And until we actually connect and understand what our own body is telling us and develop leadership over our emotions and energy to embody our new authentic identity, nothing was actually changing. And this is why I wanted well, to bring this all to you, because this really changed my life. Through tapping into my truth behind my body and addressing myself in wholeness, I drastically improved my mental well-being. I overcame generalized anxiety disorder, depression, and basically chronically burning out, like without any medications. I was able to deepen my connection and intimacy with my own daughter, right, and my husband, and really let in his love. And sorry about that. And I was like awarded with this emotional freedom, peace of mind within myself. I found this new inner freedom that I never experienced. It was like life turned from black and white to color TV for me. And most importantly, that connection to my deeper self and who I truly was, right? And the same foundations that I took into my mental health and well-being and my inner world, it started transforming my outer world. I found the courage to leave my most favorite nursing leadership position ever, and to create a business aligned to my soul's purpose and authentic truth, because I knew there was more for me, right? I became this international best-selling author and speaker, and I'm invited to talk, in my DM messages, like to go on podcasts, talks, summits, forums like these, and creating five-figure months with a lot more ease and flow, and owning and expressing my authentic gifts to really help leaders become the best version of themselves. And honestly, I believe, us entrepreneurs, high achievers, spiritual entrepreneurs, we really we care so much, and we're putting our heart out there to make a difference. And I really believe we deserve to have more love, impact, that fulfillment and abundance in our lives. And so I wanted to um, introduce you to what I walk my clients through, and seeing how your body could actually lead you to all of this, and how this is intertwined in all these different steps that I walk a client through. And it's truly learning to honing in on the energy of turning towards truth, receiving our authentic self, building a strong foundation of the body, mind, heart, soul alignment, where essentially I've brought this all together in my system. And foundation one, like depth of self awareness. We're moving into a place on our journey where it's not about knowing more, it's actually about going deeper. And so foundation one is where I start. I always guide people deeper into themselves. And our depth of awareness is really important, because and then if we're focused at the mental level, and to versus being conscious and self-aware, we're actively recreating past emotions, energy, the results and experiences by default, right? It's like you're on a sailboat, letting the currents and winds guide you versus actively directing the sails to where you want to go. And so, yeah, like, so are you diving deep enough? And because often what I notice with my clients is they're being taken over by the hustle and everyday life consistently is it's limiting them to tap into this depth of self-awareness. And the only way to create change is to slow down and develop the skill of deeper presence. In fact, the biggest mistakes, the mistake I witnessed in my clients is not looking deep enough because very much like in my story, the mask I got used to wearing, like high achieving and people pleasing, being in control and all of that became the identity I wore. And I didn't know I was even wearing that mask anymore. You know what I mean? And so one of the ways I help my clients is to support them in removing this mask. They wear to others, but sometimes even to themselves, right? And so let me show you a picture of myself. So essentially, let me orientate you to this photo. The top is before the burnout, and then the bottom picture is after. Yes, that was me. And the middle picture was like a picture that we would take of ourselves. And essentially, the two left sides were on the left side, and the two right sides are to the right side. So they're literally mirror images of the left and right side. And so from this place, I want to just highlight like what has changed, right? Like you can see that, when we take these photos, the instruction is to have even light on both sides of the skin. Almost right away, you can see a difference in complexion. And what this talks about, our complexion on our skin, speaks a lot to our degree of self-awareness within ourselves. And so you can see that opened up quite a bit, especially using the body as the map to truth. You can see that my eyes, my eyes actually opened up quite a bit because I wasn't really connected to my emotions at that time. Like I was quite, I told myself I didn't really know how to feel. I was quite numbed out, as I said in my story. And so after the burnout and obviously incorporating the work I do, you can see the eyes are a lot bigger. Our eyes represent our heart, our soul, right? And so that had opened up for myself. You can see that my lips got a lot, bigger, more coloration, right? I had more circulation for actually speaking up for myself. That has shifted in my face. Also, the size of my forehead, you can see how the left side of the face was quite narrowed in at the top, right? And so, yeah, that opened, that was very much covering up my outlook on life and how much I was able to see. And, just naturally, I just started to part my hair differently and it just started to fall that way. So as you grow, your physical body actually, evolves and grows as well, right? And so stepping into our self leadership to really helped me change my entire face and really become the leader of my own life. And this is someone I worked with. She had a session with me, and she really didn't know what to expect, of course. And working essentially, I brought her face to face with herself to help her really see. There's, oh, I realize, okay, sorry. She was able to feel more productive energy and aligned in her face because, she was spending all this energy holding energy down because she had buried it within herself. She said once from doing the face analysis with Tammy, I was able to really quickly uncover things that it was buried deep within her soul that she didn't even want to admit to herself was true, right? And so that was causing that kink in the hose. Whatever water was able to get through was low, right? And so the flow of her life wasn't happening. That was reflecting in her business. However, on the other end, the kink, the pressure was building up. And so, and this was, playing havoc on her health as well. But obviously, we are not always living life realizing the connection between these two things, right? And so that's very interesting. And so I just wanted to highlight that piece. And for Mihai, right, he was someone that's been on the path a while. Like he even said it was allowed him to really connect with these deeper parts of himself and see how he saw himself, but also how he wanted others to see him. And so this was a little different for him because he realized that he was showing up in a different, he was showing up for other people versus actually really, and he didn't really see that he was doing that. He didn't realize that misalignment between himself, And so, on a deeper level, we all want to be seen and validated, right? And so, when we're able to really hold more love and compassion for ourselves and see ourselves in a more positive, expanded light, it really allows you to move forward with more authentic confidence and connection, with the students he was working with, but also showing up in his business. And so when you uncover what your own face says and you deepen the self-awareness, right? Really uncover the pieces that, we swept under the covers. It really opens up us up to more love, compassion, acceptance of our own body, expanding your self-recognition of who you are and changing that internal relationship with yourself and efficiently, quickly identifies what is out of alignment with your inner and outer world. And so just moving on to foundation two is the connection to your vision and purpose. I know a lot of people here feel like you're connected, to your purpose to some degree. And what I noticed, this is very core piece that is must be included in my steps kind of thing, because it really is that driver. When we're actually connected to our purpose, when we are anchored in it, we navigate life with that clarity, vision, conviction, staying true to ourselves when the waters get rough. And really is this internal lighthouse illuminating our path and our decisions forward. And I think this has Ikigai has been very much a very more global. It's got a lot of global recognition originating from Japan, where it's that association with our happiness and well-being and our ability to have lower rates of chronic disease, have better health outcomes, lower levels of stress, depression, anxiety, and satisfaction in our life. But I find what common mistake I see is that, a lot of high achievers I work with often, what they think they want is actually not always what they actually want deeper inside themselves. When we actually go within, it's because like maybe they were guided by what they were told, by family, the community they're a part of, maybe even the coach or mentor, or the expectations of society, right? Or in comparison with others with what they're doing. And it's like their mind will tell them they know their purpose or vision, but their truthful connection to their own purpose and vision is not really there. But obviously the mind will jump in and say it's there. Or maybe you felt more connected to the purpose at one point, but as you're going through all the striving and hustle bustle of life, you're not feeling the same amount of passion, you used to feel. And so I'm seeing that quite a bit as well. And so, this really was the case for Alice. A lot of times, like she was struggling with, there's all these projects. She was really anxious. She always felt there wasn't enough time. And, she was in her 70s. I'm so glad that we worked together because it really opened up a space where she wasn't actually, receiving, her purpose. She couldn't really connect to it, and which the way she was walking in her body, she was actually not on purpose and she was off direction with her purpose. And this is painted out in her body. So imagine, this is where she was going. Like she was, really wanting to donate and give back when she was retired. She's like, I don't need this money. I just want to help people now. Right. And she was just focusing on all these things at a mental level. She couldn't like receive any positive feelings. So it's interesting. We attract the clients that, we struggled with the same things we struggled with. And so this is what happened with Alice. And, and after working together and bringing her body back into alignment and how she was actually walking, it's like one part was saying one thing, another part was saying something different, And so there was this piece where they were going against each other in many ways. And it kept on basically spiraling her and overcommitting. And that was causing a lot of anxiety. And she just never had enough time. And once we were able to reverse this, she just was naturally creating more time in her day. And she was way more connected and affirmed in herself. And she was able to speak well of herself. Like she really struggled with that, And so when we learn to stay connected with our vision and our purpose and create alignment in our body, not only does it gift us this inner fulfillment to really create a meaningful impact, but really allowing ourselves to take aligned action for and service to our purpose, right? And you'll be able to create more ease and flow because your mind is not saying one thing, your body's not working against it, and we're working against what we're striving on a daily basis, and we're playing these old patterns of self-sabotage. And the third foundation here is really stepping into this emotional fluency and empowerment, right? It's like it's the foundation of really stepping into being an embodied leader, like building our own emotional strength. And your body essentially represents and spells out your emotional history and patterns. And so, one of the main reasons why many high achieving entrepreneurs, leaders struggle with this chronic overwhelm and exhaustion is that they haven't really learned to turn towards their emotions, to really connect with what is it that they need and what our own needs are, right? Like out there, they can show up very competent. It's like, that was me. People would come to me to solve their problems. Like on the outside, it doesn't feel like that. But when I guide someone back into themselves, there's this place where when it comes to the emotions, it just feels like this foreign place. Because who had parents here? That had parents that actually taught you how to turn towards your emotions, right? Like it's just something that's been passed on, and stepping into our leadership to break the pattern in our family, in our life, in our business, right? And so because when we don't turn towards this, right, this is what we resist will persist, and over time it will show up in our body in dis-ease, right, symptoms and then dis-ease. And so how I was able to this is essentially how I was able to heal the generalized anxiety and the depression, right, is really turning back to self again and again. And being authentic leader is learning to be authentically real with how we are feeling emotionally and learning to hold space for ourselves. And then learning to lead your emotions and not have the emotions lead us. So there's truly two pieces of the puzzle here at play that's really important in self-leadership, right? And the mistake I see again and again is that a lot of high achievers make it like they're so focused on staying positive. They want to stay, high vibration and show up with all this energy and feeling good, right? And obviously there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel good. However, there's a tendency to ignore and cover up the emotional upsets, right? And the challenge is once you've been playing this pattern, you don't notice you're repressing or suppressing. And this is where the body really highlights the truth once again, right? This is where the body will guide us to what is needed to look at, first or right away, or, things like this. Because Tracy was one of my clients who focused on staying positive, and she was self-proclaimed personal development mindset junkie, and a recovering perfectionist, And when she first came to me, she struggled with that ability to give herself space um, to connect to what she actually needed. She's like, I don't know, I just feel like I need more space, um, and because she was willing to tap into these uncomfortable emotional places, she was able to really feel love and abundance for the first time in 37 years of her life. And before that, she was like striving towards creating more space and abundance in her life, but she realized that how was she able to create it? She wasn't able to create it because she never actually experienced it before. She didn't know what it really was. And so we all, often know manifestation has a lot to do with being able to embody the feeling first, right? And so this was a big deterrent for her. And so after doing the work together, like she started having a home where she had no office, she had no place to do her cardio classes, to buying a new home that essentially gave her office and a room to do her cardio dance classes. She started setting really firm boundaries with her parents, and she started having an influx of membership sign-ups for her community. And we've been working together longer. She's been able to double her previous corporate income while really being her authentic self and attracting clients that actually aligned to her. And so what many people don't know and don't realize is that if you only like allow yourself to feel a certain degree of negative emotions, quote unquote, and it also limits your capacity to feel more of the positive emotions of joy, love and abundance, So if you allow yourself to feel only this much pain, then you only tap into this much like happiness. And so and this is the thing and how it plays out working with Paige, right? She was like going through three major transitions in her life, and so many triggers were going on, right? And past upsets were coming up, and she didn't know whether she wanted to necessarily take the step with me per se. And I told her this is the best time because very much so, like the triggers are really the path to more openings and opportunities and awakenings, right? It's exactly where the universe was guiding her to go. And honestly, she shared that there's been, a lot of changes going on, and since, the workshop, she's been able to move and stay in a new level of joy she did not feel before, because that was the missing piece, was really learning how to create safety for herself in her emotions, and through reading her body and supporting her, guiding her deeper into herself, she was able to let this go. And so this is a really important understanding, to know to not run away from these uncomfortable feelings, right? And so when we learn how to become a leader of our emotions and navigate triggers, right, you begin to leverage your emotions into those openings and opportunities, and really create more emotional ease and flow to open to receive more happiness, love, and abundance in your life. And number 4 is really this collaboration with our subconscious and sage. And so our body's subconscious like functions naturally regulate like our breathing, like those neural hormonal interactions, our body digestion, our heartbeat even, right? And how, our body just naturally regulates our body temperature. And all these processes are governed by the subconscious, without our conscious deciding in every moment, right? So the same energy and force that causes the flowers to naturally bloom and for the planets to know exactly how much to rotate, this is the same force that's actually happening, within our body, right? And if your subconscious runs over 95% of your thoughts and behaviors, what I believe is learning to partner with the subconscious holds a foundational place here, stepping into your own an authentic self leadership of ourselves, right? That doesn't that make sense, right? Because otherwise, we're letting the past run the show. We keep recreating the past and getting burnt out, trying to do something different. You know what I mean? And so, in fact, the body doesn't lie. It really represents the subconscious, and it doesn't lie. Your physical body is like your personal blueprint. It speaks to us through our physical appearances, as you saw in the face, how we hold our shoulders, how we breathe, pain and symptoms. They all speak to our subconscious, trying to get your attention. And so, the alignment of our body also tells us where we are maybe out of alignment with ourselves, out of energy alignment with ourselves as well, right? Because your energy body, as many people may know here, is the extension 2 feet around us, right? And so when I work with clients, I walk them through this process to actually visually see how their own energy field is reacting to their own thoughts and belief systems. So Adrian was a coach, and when we first started working together, he wanted to learn more about his body, and he felt that otherwise I'm in a good place. And so when I allowed him to really get like into his affirmations, right? Like he to say like I believe in myself, like I feel like everything's flowing. I asked him to come up with some affirmations so that we could actually test them, and what was surprising to him is that when I was, he was really getting into it, he felt really excited in his body and everything. But when I measured his energy alignment, the energy field decreased significantly. And so what was happening is that he would be striving for what he wanted, but the deeper part of his energy was actually pushing it away, and he was just playing a cycle of self sabotage he didn't really realize. And this is the beauty, like he was able to, like he said, he felt like he was able to be more vulnerable and connect with himself at the heart, and really trust himself to a deeper love and acceptance within himself, which is essentially a big growth for all of us, and he couldn't see any of this, right? So often it looks like this, right? So there's this man, or woman, we're swimming in the ocean, and there's a shark coming, right? And then the life guard on the beach, right, with the binoculars, can see the shark is coming, the shark is coming, and he wants to warn, the person in the water, right? And so, do you think the man in the water can see the shark coming? Probably not until it's too late, right? And so the person on the beach is equivalent to me showing you what your body and energy alignment is, right? You're in the water, and you can't really necessarily see. It doesn't say anything about your swimming ability, right? However, it prevents you, when we are not really seeing the unseen, so to speak, it prevents you from striving to reach your goals when you're subconsciously pushing it away. And so I just find that is a really great analogy I heard from someone that really landed for me. So I wanted to share that with you. And I was just blessed. I bumped into Adrian about 2 years later, and he just, shared this. He wanted to give me this. And he's been able to maintain and grow the strong foundation of knowing who he really is and powerfully creatively expressing himself, right? And he's now the top 5 podcast host, speaker and narrator. I think it's for young kids, or I think is a variation. And so I really love this quote. And let's see how this lands with you, is that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. So I really want that to land with people here. I found that would just hit me really deeply. And so really the opportunity here is that when you learn to tap into your subconscious communication with your body and your energy, right? That the subconscious pieces of things, you begin to step into that deeper connection, authenticity with your inner being and your needs. Like you develop this deeper self-trust and leadership, and it becomes a strengthen, right? And you could take action aligned to your purpose with way more ease and flow, right? When you're not pushing against it. And so now brings us to our very last foundation. And at the for this one, a lot of times like we do all this work and we find that, oh, things are not working still. And this is a crucial foundation, because I noticed that when I didn't have this in working with people, people would still regress. And so this is where it's really about stepping into a new identity alignment and the embodiment piece. And so again, when we do all the other pieces, deepening the self-awareness, connecting with our purpose, tapping into the subconscious and the emotional empowerment pieces. When we're not stepping into that new identity alignment, we often default back into the old self again, right? And we can't help the people to the degree we want, to the impact we want. We play small. We recreate the past, and it's just the cycle for insanity. And in the process, we get overwhelmed and we're stuck as a society in a hustle culture, right? And so, let me just move that. And so, one mistake I see people make is to address the body, mind, heart, soul like separately. They work on mindset, but not the emotions, or they work on the mindset and emotions, but they don't address the soul piece, right? Or they work on energy and spiritual work, but they're not really in their body and changing the relationship with their body alignment. And so what happens is the pattern may be addressed in one situation, however, and then it shows up again in another area of your life, so it's not complete. So, however, to really fully lead ourselves into this new identity, it requires not ignoring these crucial aspects of ourselves and treating them as separate pieces. Because even though we achieve milestones in our lives, we will still feel incomplete or like something is missing because we left a part of ourselves behind. Um, and maybe in some situations we're not, right? But it's like it's really learning to see it as all one, and we are not separate. And so, how I like to define new identity and energy alignment, it's really that degree of your body, mind, heart, um, a soul, and when energy and all these pieces are in alignment, moving towards a similar intention. But if we're treating them all separately, we're not making those connections, right? And so you can see here that through the body signs and symptoms, and then there's the negative thinking, unfold emotional needs and ignoring our intuition, right? It starts there, and we move towards the spectrum farther to the right, where we actually have unresolved reinforced identity, right? We reinforced emotional patterns, spiritual depression, disease of the body, right? And these all trickle on each other, and we may be different levels on all these pieces, but it's really setting intention every day. But it's like every part of the puzzle gets to speak, and we know that when something is happening, you're creating your day aligning all of these pieces. And so in developing this new energy alignment identity. It's really about bringing all these pieces together so we could lead all these parts of ourselves to uncover, create, navigate, and really hold the level of happiness, love, and abundance that we're trying to create. And so Stephanie was a clear example of this, right? She really went into holding a lot of resentment towards her loved ones, excuse me, and feeling stuck in making decisions and really taking action. Like she's a leader, she took pride in being this great problem solver, right? But because what happened was that she wasn't addressing her own spiritual needs, and so this was manifesting in a lot of blame towards her husband. And I was able to support Stephanie in tapping into this because she didn't really realize the connection, and it was like playing havoc for at least, her son's almost 10 years old. So yeah, a good 9+ time of her life being stuck in this resentment that she was holding within herself, and it was showing up in her body as itchy skin, like to the degree she had to put ice packs on her skin before she slept. And this spoke to places where she wasn't allowing herself to desire what she wanted. And so, yeah, the truth is that, it's really about dressing all these pieces together and really learning what our body communication means. Otherwise, it creates, again, that energy kink in our system. And so Anna is a recent client of mine, right? And she, works as a senior recruiter in talent acquisition. And when we first met, she already, you know, she was what's playing through her head is that I've already done the trauma work. I'm already really intuitive. I meditate, she goes and does her yoga and already, went to healing retreats in Costa Rica. Her mind was telling her all of this. I don't need to work with someone else. And she felt like she was achieving success in her business already, but there was underlying patterns she knew intuitively was preventing her um, to become who she was really meant to be. Like she knew that there was something more and bigger. Just gonna take a drink of water here. Yeah, and so yeah, it's amazing because through really getting her to come in touch with her body, this was one of the big missing pieces for her. Really connecting to her body because, um, yeah, I don't think I yeah, but I was just like some of the symptoms she was going through was she was experiencing a lot of pain in her body, and she felt this disconnection with her body. She was where she was stuck in self-sabotage with sugar and using food and with what's the other one? Yeah, some medication. Oh, yeah, it was like Ritalin and also smoking. She picked up smoking too, and so other people would tell her she was inspirational and innovative, and she was getting all these results for her clients, but she felt like she was the imposter. And so really working through everything and getting her in touch with her body again, it really brought her to actually feel more connected and grounded in her body, and she no longer was struggling with the pain. It greatly diminished in her body. She started yoga and the weight training again. She stopped using the sugar, the food, the medications, and she stopped smoking cold turkey. It's like she didn't need it anymore. You know what I mean? And she was less triggered by the imposter syndrome, and she used to be all worried what other people think, but she wasn't, that wasn't really a thing anymore. And so there was so much more time in her day because she wasn't in her head overthinking things, getting into perfectionism and things like this. And she learned to really balance her energy and be in the space of receiving, to actually receive what was already around her and the abundance that was actually all around her. In fact, she said that how she saw now that how her expertise deserves a seat at the table. And she noticed she was as good or better than some of the peers that worked to these big companies like Google, and she was giving away her power to all of that, right? And she started attracting clients with more ease, like taking bold action towards bigger speaking opportunities and thinking bigger, about her vision and her purpose. Anyways, I'm just, we're always excited when we see our clients doing well. And, she also started dropping energetic weight and had more boundaries. It's just the list was going on because when we open ourselves to receive ourselves, everything opens up. And so the opportunity here again is the truth is when we start to align our inner world and also start to align it starts to align the outer world. And when we allow ourselves to expand that capacity to really let life let us have that emotional flow, so we're able to hold it all. You know what I mean? When you begin to embody this authentic alignment to who to where you are learning to, go within yourself, to really deepen that within you and to really embody these aspects of yourself, you support yourself to really, create it, uncover it, create it, hold it, and maintain it. And this creates a new quality of happiness, health, and abundance in your life. And so I think we can move on from that. So, just wrapping things up is that, I really want to ask you, what path are you on? Are you on the path of making a difference and creating impact and success at the expense of your own authenticity, happiness, health and fulfillment? Or are you on the path of authentic, embodied leadership where you create meaningful impact with more ease and flow without sacrificing your happiness, your deeper needs, and your authentic self? And this is something I love to share, is the rising of more authentic leaders will give rise to a world where empathy triumphs over ego, diversity rises over conformity, collaboration thrives over competition, and humanity prevails over disconnection. Yeah, and now, as the first step of your journey, next step of your journey, I would love to invite you to two options as a gift for you as being part of this forum, whether you are watching the replay or watching it today sometime. And you can see on the left, if you are a high achieving entrepreneur and leader, I invite you to scan that QR code from your phone to really access your free Lead Your Authenticity Face Analysis video series. Essentially, it's 5-part video series, step by step, where you get to uncover your inner awakening, lean into your leadership potential, and uncover subconscious blocks to really help you empower and elevate your authentic leadership journey. And so, if that sounds interesting to you, I invite you to start that process. It's similar to step one of what I went into, really bringing yourself to that depth within yourself. And so that's my gift to you for taking part in this. On the right, you can see if you're in a place you're ready to take action, to have a discussion, if this is right for you, feel free to comment the word body in the comment section in the Facebook group. Whether you want to, potentially book a face analysis inner awakening experience or working together, you also receive this free energy alignment assessment session to learn if you're currently subconsciously pushing away and achieving your goals that you're currently investing all your time and energy and resources in. And so I value this at $250. And so if that's something that you're wanting to dive in anyway, I would love to gift that to you as well. And so, yeah, thank you for listening, for being here. And I look forward to speaking with you and connecting with you. And remember to download this video series, because I've got testimonials and people to share it, telling me how it's really enlightened them in their connection to themselves. So thank you.